Hey there, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. So Louisiana is divvying up about $130 million among several service providers as part of their Gumbo program. Be right back. Thanks for joining me. Rick Husey here with Broadband Deployment News. So I saw this article about Louisiana. So you see here AT&T, Comcast, Altus, Charter win big as Louisiana awards $129.5 million for broadband. So let's see what the details are here. So a small local telecom called Star Communications, they've been around a long time, Star Telephone. So later Star Communications, they emerged the top winner as Louisiana divvied up $129.5 million in broadband grants. But top tier players, AT&T, Altus USA, Charter Communications, and Comcast each also walked away with a hefty chunk of change. Star Communications received a total of $28.2 million from Louisiana's Gumbo Grant Program. Now this is an awesome acronym. It's granting unserved municipalities broadband opportunities. So somebody came up with a great acronym there. That's to connect more than 9,200 locations across 2 parishes, the state's equivalent of counties. Cable South, Swift Fiber, was close behind with a total of $25.69 million in awards spanning 7 parishes. So you can see these are kind of smaller regional, regional state kind of operators. Then you've got one of the major players, AT&T, won the most. Of the major players, AT&T won the most, walking away with $19 million to build fiber to nearly 9,800 locations in 13 parishes. So that shows you it's a little different geography there because you've got Star that is connecting 9,200 locations in 2 parishes, and then you've got 9,800 locations in 13 parishes for AT&T. The operator said it plans to start design and engineering work as soon as it signs a final contract with the state. Its Gumbo-funded projects will add to the more than 42,000 passings the operator already has in Louisiana. So they're obviously a big player already in Louisiana. Altus USA, which applied for grants via its CSC Holdings subsidiary, scored a total of $16.1 million in awards to reach more than 9,100 locations in parts of 15 parishes. The awards follow reports that Altus is looking to sell its Suddenlink assets. Louisiana is part of Altus's Suddenlink footprint. Earlier this month, Altus also won a $6 million broadband grant from the state of Arizona to build fiber to more than 7,000 homes in 2 counties. Arizona is also in the Suddenlink territory. Asked whether a deal was in the works, the Altus representative told Fierce it doesn't comment on rumors. So, Charter and Comcast also each won substantial sums. So we've seen this. We've seen both Comcast, and especially Charter, going after these federal dollars. Charter, big winners in RDOF, also big losers. I announced recently where they had a lot of territories that they defaulted on that they're going to have to pay fines for. I can't remember, it was in the millions, I believe, the fines that Charter had to pay on that. But of course, they're getting lots of money in the areas where they did win those funds, and then they're getting money here as part of this. The former Charter bagged $10.1 million to cover just over 2,100 homes across 3 parishes, while the latter was awarded $7.88 million to connect more than 1,100 locations in 2 parishes. It says here the wins in Louisiana are just the latest state grant awards Charter has landed. And in February, it landed $12.2 million for Georgia, $49.9 million to cover approximately 18,000 unserved locations in Kentucky. Earlier this month, it received $8.5 million from the state of Maryland. The operator is also pursuing $35 million in grants in Tennessee. So these guys, these big MSOs are not sitting by and watching others get federal dollars and having to compete with that. They're getting that money on their own. So other Gumbo winners included Conexon Connect. So Conexon's a company that works with electric membership co-ops, and they provide various services for them. And they did go out in RDOF, for example, also bid in that and won money through RDOF. They also had some fines as part of that as well that I was talking about yesterday. They won nearly $4 million to build 851 locations in East Carroll Parish, and Vexus Fiber got $2.17 million for a project in Tangapahoa Parish. Additionally, Cox snagged just over $665,000 for projects in 2 parishes. So you can see there are several operators involved in this from the Gumbo, again, a terrific acronym, from the Gumbo grants. And I saw this other story that called this a public-private partnership for AT&T. this 19 million that they're getting. But it's not really a public-private as far as I could tell. It's talking about the same thing here, 9,800 addresses in 13 parishes. There's nothing in here about AT&T working with a government entity and kind of splitting the costs, other than the fact that this is a state grant. So we can't really call it a public-private partnership. Otherwise, every single operator that gets funds through, for example, the BEAD program, which is going to go from the states and then be granted out to service providers, those would be considered public-private partnerships. But a public-private partnership is more like what AT&T is doing in other places, like it mentions here. Where was it? I think it's in here. Oh yeah, in Indiana. You know, for example, during the first week of July, Boonville, Indiana, the carrier announced the finalization of a 4.4 million contract to bring fiber broadband to more than 4,000 addresses in the city. Actually, that one didn't mention it. Oh, here it is. This mentioned it. So here's one, Vanderburgh County. The county will pick up 9.9 million of the cost, and the carrier will cover 29.7 million of the cost. So in that case, the county, that's a public-private partnership between the county and between AT&T, and the county's kicking in kind of some funds there to do that. But this is a state grant. I don't think of that as a public-private partnership, but maybe Telecompetitor got that from this AT&T press release where it says AT&T and the state of Louisiana collaborate on this plan to deliver fiber-powered broadband to portions of 13 Louisiana parishes. So yeah, they're collaborating, but really it's as far as I can tell, all of these operators are just getting state grants, and it's not like it's not like they're going to be working with these parishes and the parishes are going to kick in money. I think this is a state grant. And these grants are probably, I don't know if it mentioned it in here somewhere. I don't think I remember seeing that now. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if this money is actually coming through a federal program. I mean, some of it may be state matches, but there could also be federal programs like ARPA or CARES money that is being applied to this. So it's going kind of like the BEAD program will be. It's coming from the federal government to the state, who then determines where this money needs to go and who's going to do it. And this is very similar to what we're going to be seeing with BEAD. The state's going to get the money, and then they're going to be working with local service providers or national service providers. There's no reason that providers like Comcast and Cox and AT&T would not be able to get some of that BEAD money. However, the BEAD NOFO, there are scoring things in there where I think they're going to be favoring real public-private partnerships. That's not a requirement, but the way the federal government would like the states to score these things would be based on things like public-private partnerships, affordability, other things, but also is this nonprofit or not-for-profit organizations like municipalities or EMCs? They would favor that over somebody like an AT&T or a Comcast. But still, you could have big providers that are going to be in there that have the infrastructure already very nearby. They got the experience, so they have a shot at some of that money as well. And we can see here that, as I've mentioned before, there's all of these providers, whether smaller providers like Star Communications or larger ones like AT&T, Comcast, Charter, they are all trying to get what money they can now to take all of these areas off of the map as far as the broadband maps that are going to be coming out for the BEAD program. So all of these areas will not be in play or should not be in play when the FCC makes the final decisions on what areas are unserved, because these will either have infrastructure that's being put in and very likely federal dollars, like I say, that may have gone towards these projects. And even if the federal dollars, even if this is state money that's going to these projects, these providers could make a case in the challenge process that these areas are not unserved because there's a project and state money that's going to be applied to these areas. So the federal government's going to want to be they're going to want to use that money wisely. So if there's already infrastructure that's being built there, fiber that's being laid in an area, even though it's not federal dollars, they're going to probably save that money for areas that are still truly unserved and that have nothing going into the area. So there'll be lots of opportunity for that. Thanks for joining me. This is the end of today's broadband deployment news. I will be back tomorrow, so I will see you then sometime during the day. If you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button, click the little bell, and you'll be notified when I am live. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye-bye.